keeps telling himself is that he is bad at choosing gifts, which is why he lets his wife Marge do all the Christmas shopping.
Homer's narrative, he thinks he's a terrible gift giver. We're like a little bit too late to help any of those people who feel that tell themselves that same story.
Yeah. If you're going to master the narrative of gift giving, this is the appropriate amount of runway that you need for next Christmas.
Okay, there we go.
You got some work to do between now and then.
Yeah.
So he's in a place where all of the gifts that are available for him to buy are the wrong gifts. Like if he went to the right store on the suggestion of one of Marge's friends, or if he had, there's so many things he could do to work on this narrative. But at some point in time, I think, just knowing the character of Homer, he probably weaponized his incompetence. He basically said, I'm not good at gift giving, so don't expect anything from me. And that made his life easier. But now he's being harmed by his own, right? He's causing himself harm because of this narrative that the narrative has to change in order for him to go. But he certainly isn't going to find what he needs in that store, and he certainly isn't going to change his feelings about the gifts that he could choose by examining all of his previous bad choices. He's reinforcing that same narrative. So whatever happens next, if Darren is going to do something that helps him, it's going to have to be there's got to be something different.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the episode shifts into, as he works with Marge to create the narrative to then change Homer. And Homer he literally starts to believe that he's Santa Claus. And so then he becomes Santa Claus, and he lives that out. And he grows the beard, and he's given gifts.
Yes, that is exactly what I would expect for the Simpsons to do with that.
Homer might really feel like he's a bad gift giver, but if he just wants to be lazy, maybe he's just really lazy and he just wants to not do it. And so he uses that as a cover story. And so sometimes it could be both too, right? One or the other. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the opposite. Let's just go to the other end, right? A good gift giver is not going to be somebody who just naturally has this outpouring of the ability to choose gifts. They're doing something different that's accomplishing the goal of finding gifts, right?
Yeah.
And there's some intentionality behind that. So maybe the person who is a good gift giver is someone who listens better than Homer, because he's not so great at listening, as we've seen in many episodes.
Yes.
But also, if he thinks that getting to be a good gift giver means that the other person who is doing it right, they can be lazy and still give good gifts, then of course he thinks he's bad at gifts because he's not putting the energy into it. And so as long as he believes that it's just not worth the energy because I'm not good at gift giving, he's never going to do the bare minimum that gets you to a good gift.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining, I haven't seen the episode, but I imagine what happens next is he does do the bare minimum to get to a good gift, and then he recognizes that and that he can do it again, and then he becomes Santa Claus.
Yeah. So for those that are like those that feel like they are bad gift gifters, I want to give you a little advice here. So consider the idea of like I can be both a good gift giver and a bad gift giver, but my identity is not a good or a bad one. It's just how am I playing that out? And so I have been a bad gift giver in the past and a good gift giver. And one of the ways, particularly with my wife, that I do that is I start picking up things throughout the year that your wife says and make note of them. So I have like an Evernote, and I just collect all of the either ideas she gives me or ideas I see. And when I'm gift giving, I like to get her things that she actually told me she wants.
Nice.
And then also take a little bit of risk and give her things I think she wants, but she may not. So I like to give her both, so that way I kind of cover my bases and get her something she wants and also be willing to take that risk. But that idea of the identity tied into it, right? I can move back and forth, and that can shift. So Ross, what are your thoughts on that?
I was just thinking of the power of someone telling a story that so inspires me to become a good gift giver. Like, I love working in systems into my life so that I can become a better self. So just hearing your story and how, like, I could have watched that as a cartoon or if we had talked over coffee and I'd heard that story, I would be internalizing this like, oh, that is a hero that I want to be, and realize like, whether it turned into a direct application or down the line when I was having these tension points, that subconsciously came to mind. And I told myself, like, oh no, someone told me the story before. Jason might come to mind. I'll be like, I know how to do this. There is more than just doomed to stay bad gift giver forever.